The prodigal son has joined. Hey man, how you doing? AZ, how are you? Thanks, you're already liking up the likes. I appreciate that. Domit, always good to see you. Um, Glad that you're here. Hope that you're back on the wagon. Hope that the streak is going okay for you. I'm going to wait for a couple more people to show up, and then I am going to launch into the official piece. So I'm glad you're back. It's been a week. That's fantastic. Good for you. Good for you. I'm very proud of you. I know that it's a challenge. Obviously, I've been there myself. And, a week is a big deal. Hi, Dimitri. Excuse me. Good to see you, Dimitri. Sorry about that. Hi, Tauntaun. How are you? Good to see you. Glad you're here. Like I said, I'm just waiting for a couple more people to join, and then I'll begin to tell my story. You guys have heard this before, much of you. Please keep tapping up the likes. Please tap up the likes. That makes the biggest difference in whether we're going to get 10 people in here or whether we're going to get 50 people in here. Please tap up the likes. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for hitting up the likes, Tauntaun. My name is Josh, and I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was also an alcoholic for 22 years. I have been clean and sober now for a little more than 10 and a half years. I have also been relapse free the entire time. I am currently making my living as a full-time pornography addiction coach, as a full-time betrayal trauma coach, and as a therapeutic disclosure specialist. I've written 4 books regarding pornography addiction and betrayal trauma, done hundreds of interviews, did the TED Talk thing, but I am here today to answer any questions you may have regarding pornography addiction, regarding addiction in general, betrayal trauma, trauma in general, or your relationship with your partner. I am able to work on that too. So any questions you have, please toss them on. Dimitri, I saw the word urge. Did you write something else around that, or were you saying you had an urge now? If you're still here, I'm curious exactly what that means. So if you want to share, I would love to know. So you say, when I watch porn, it isn't because of boredom, but it's just like something snaps and then I get the urge. Right, you have a trigger. It may not be boredom. I have to tell you, I was one of the busiest people I knew, going way back to high school. But I always made time for pornography. The last year or two of my addiction to pornography, I owned 1/3 of my own company where I probably worked 80 hours a week. I also was a local politician and worked at that probably 10 hours a week. I also was one of the founders of a film festival that certain parts of the year was like a full-time job. And I still found the time. I was never bored. A lot of people are, but boredom is not a prerequisite for it. Boredom is not a prerequisite. But you do get an urge. You do get a trigger. It's important to know why that happens. It's important to figure that out. What is it about it? Is it time of day? Is it place that you're at? Is it something happens? That's important to understand why you're getting urges to use the pornography. That's, a whole lot of this early on. As a coach, a whole lot of the work I do with my clients early on is detective work about why it happens. Joel 5321, how you doing? Why do I waste half a day searching for the perfect one to finish to? That's a great question, Joel. And I don't know that anybody has an official scientific answer yet. At least I haven't read one. In talking to most people, I think that we simply know internally that there is going to be one that is just better than the others. There is going to be one that escalates it a little more. There's going to be one that gives us a little more dopamine, a little more oxytocin, a little more of those chemicals we're after. You know, it's like going to a buffet. You can look and well, if I eat this stuff, I'm not coming back for a second plate because this stuff is filling. Or if you go to the salad, well, I can come back for 5 plates of this because I know this isn't filling. I think that on some mental level, we just know that we are looking for that new piece that we've never seen before, that for some reason is just going to be that much better. Chat, glad to see you. Thank you for that. So that would be my guess, Joel. I have not read anything official about that, but I would guess it is one of the absolute most, I'm not even guessing, I know it's one of the most absolute common symptoms of pornography addiction. I did it. I think just about every one of my clients does it. You do waste a lot of time looking for that perfect piece to finish to. And the funny thing is, I bet 30 minutes later, you can't even tell me what you finished to. Want to thank you, those of you who are joining. Want to thank you, those of you who are liking this. Please keep tapping up the likes. Please, please, please keep tapping up the likes. If I miss your comment, I apologize. Please just write it again. I'm going to try to keep up with them. Hey, Oth, good to see you. Good to see you a lot. God, I did that for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Jad says religion helps. Religion does help a big bunch of people. I don't think that you can, and I might be wrong in this, but I don't think you can just decide I want to be Catholic, I want to be Jewish, I want to be Islam, and that will kick my porn addiction. I've not heard many people doing that. People who already are in a religion often will lean towards that and use it for a piece of the puzzle for recovery. But atheists, agnostics, those who are in doubt of a higher power, a higher being, whatever your belief in a higher being is, they can recover too. You know, anybody can. I gotta let my dog in because it's actually snowing pretty hard right now. I'll be right back. All right, buddy, come on in. Come on. Apologies for that, but I didn't want to leave the poor dog outside. Hey, Mr. Smoothie Buns, glad to see you. How's it going, playa? I am doing super well today. Like I said, it's snowing, so I hate that, but I like the fact that I can stay in a nice warm house. I've already had a couple sessions today. I already finished the Girls Gone Wild documentary on Peacock. I just did a video on that about 30 minutes ago if you want to see it. And I'm doing this now, and then I've got some more sessions later. So good day to be inside. Good day to be inside. And again, thank you, those of you who are tapping up the likes. I appreciate it. That's how we get people into this room. That's how the algorithm knows that this is worthwhile. If you share, that helps too. If you give a gift, that helps too. You know, maybe you don't need this information. Maybe you're not an addict. Maybe you're not the partner of an addict who's dealing with the betrayal and the issues with trust. But if you tap the likes up, you never know who it's going to get in front of, and they may need that. So yeah, if you could just keep hitting up the likes. If I say something cool, share it. I'm going to reintroduce myself in a couple seconds here. I just want to get through a few more comments because those of you who are regulars know if I don't, I'll fall behind. A snow day? Stoked. Well, It's kind of funny because I don't have snow days. I don't have snow days. I'm at home. And it's a snowy day, but I hate that. I'd rather be on Miami Beach. Kryptonite. Why is that I want to make a change, but my brain shoots explicit scenes and pass videos to my head? Because it's trying to make you use. Your brain is designed to do what's programmed. And over time, as you were using, you programmed your brain to want this stuff. You literally changed the chemistry of your brain. That's why it's considered a disease. Addiction is a disease because you change the chemistry of your brain. So your chemistry, you change the neurotransmitters, obviously not on purpose, but you trains the neurotransmitters to crave the dopamine, to crave the oxytocin, the serotonin, the melatonin. You trained your brain to want these things to regulate your mood, to cope with life. And as you walk away from it, as you try not to use it, well, your brain doesn't know how to deal with problems like most people. Your brain doesn't have the coping skills, the stress management skills, the anxiety management skills to deal with life on life's terms at this point. So your brain, your subconscious, is going to shoot these images at you in hopes that you will go back, in hopes that you will feed it the dopamine it wants. Your brain doesn't care about breasts. Your brain doesn't care about genitals. Your brain cares about these chemicals, and it's going to try to get you to keep using them again. Hope that explains it, Kryptonite. Also, if you aren't following me, please do. I'd appreciate that. How can I unprogram the dopamine rush? I'm trying to get rid of it by reading the Bible. Well, that could be part of a solution, but what you probably need to do is talk to somebody who is an expert, talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, to learn more about your situation specifically. One of the things you can do is to get dopamine natural ways, like exercise, like working out. One of the things that you can do is to understand, when did you get the urges? When did you get the triggers? Why? And the biggest thing that people need to do is to recognize that there's a deeper reason for their use. Why did you become a dopamine addict? Why did you become a porn addict? That's the bigger question here. You started using porn in a compulsive way to deal with something that was going on. And then you just repeated that behavior again and again. Obviously, the reasons we use at 15 are not the reasons we use at 25 or not the reasons we use at 35. Those change, but your coping technique using porn really doesn't. And that's what you have to do, is go back to the beginning and figure out, why did I make this my coping technique? Kyario, sir, I'm having a strong urge right now. Can you please help? Stay here and keep listening. Stay here and keep listening. That's the best thing I can say. Second thing is, go be around people. Go be around people. The best thing that you can do is go be around people, because you're probably not going to look, you're probably not going to use. Off asks, how unsafe would you say this Girls Gone Wild documentary is to watch? They do a hell of a job making sure you don't see anything sexual. That's one of the things that I kind of dislike about a lot of documentaries about the porn industry, is that there's a lot of triggering images in it. I don't know that I would urge anybody who is brand new into pornography addiction recovery to watch it, but I don't think that this documentary isn't going to get anybody to probably use. Maybe it might get them to go search up Girls Gone Wild, and if they weren't around back in the late 90s and early 2000s, they could see what the phenomenon was all about. But I really liked the documentary, and it's available on Peacock if anybody is interested in checking it out. It's a good look at how we kind of went from a world of videotape, how we went from a world of magazines with pornography to where we are today. You can see the seeds of cam sites. You can see the seeds of OnlyFans and these other kind of sites in what Girls Gone Wild was doing. It's also, and as I mentioned in the video, if you go watch it, it was kind of hard for me because, back in the late 90s, I was the target audience for this stuff. I did watch this stuff. And, it sucks to now know that I might have watched a 17-year-old. It sucks to know that these girls were often coerced or totally drunk. It sucks to know how many of these women have had this follow them their entire life because they were drunk at spring break one day. And it made me feel a little bit gross about myself that way back then, I just, I had some justification for looking at women that way. I had some justification, or I was able to detach myself from the fact that these were real people, or real people basically my age back then. I didn't look at them as people. I looked at them as objects. And that was a little tough for me to reckon with as I watched it. But ultimately, you also still learn Joe Francis, who ran the whole thing, is a scumbag, is a complete scumbag. Thank you for the muting off. I saw what that person wrote, and I was hoping that you would get to it before I had to deal with it. Naui, good to see you. Thank you for all the likes. Appreciate that. Would appreciate more of you to tap up those likes. If I say something you like, please share. If you are not following me, please do. You'll get my videos. You'll get my alerted to when I'm doing lives. I am him 90 asks, how long did it take you to quit? Well, I mean, technically it takes 1 second to quit. You stop using. As far as the process of recovery goes, I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was an alcoholic for 22 years. I would say from the day that I entered recovery, or the day that I stopped using, March 20th, 2014, to the day that I felt fully in control of both of my addictions was probably about 2 years, maybe a little under 2 years. Quitting was largely easy. Quitting is just not looking. Quitting is just not using, not masturbating. The bigger part is the recovery. How do you recover from the urges? How do you recover from the triggers? What do you do when you have the urges or the triggers? What caused all this in the beginning? Spoiler alert, it's trauma, and you have to go back and deal with that. So, I tell my clients, we are going to get you to slow down or stop this stuff. But this is not the main event. The main event is figuring out how are you going to recover? Because simply denying yourself porn and recovering as an addict of pornography are two very different things, which I'm sure you understand. Got to run again. Sorry, this time of day is hard. I understand off. I was trying to get on here earlier and it just didn't happen. But glad to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Always a pleasure. Axel Henriquez XD, thank you for following me. During those 24 years, did you ever try to stop and fail? Oh, of course. But the funny thing was, I don't even know if I thought it was an addiction. I just felt bad I was doing it. If I had a girlfriend who I had to lie behind her back, if I was sneaking around to use it, there were times that I tried to slow down. I tried to not use it. I knew I used it differently than most people. I knew I used it more than most people. And as I got a little bit older, I thought, why couldn't I leave this behind when I was 14 or 15? I don't know that I ever appreciated truly that it was an addiction until right at the end. I knew my alcohol was an addiction because, everybody preaches to you about alcohol. Nobody ever preached that pornography could be an addiction back then. I kind of thought that my porn use was just another poor decision I made when I was drunk. It wasn't until I started to get into recovery that I realized these were two very separate addictions. I hope that explains it to you. And Jamie Walker, want to thank you for following me also. I would say I tried to stop, but I didn't try any real scientific ways. I tried the way that most guys try. I'm not going to use anymore. I'm not going to use anymore. And that never works. You can fast for a few days. You can starve yourself of porn for a week or two or a month. But if you don't work on why you don't need the porn, or why you need the porn so much, I rather should say, that's really where the answers end up happening. That's really where the answers end up happening. Quickly want to introduce myself to those of you who may be new in here. Those of you who have heard this before, sing along. My name is Josh, and I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was also an alcoholic for 22 years. I have been clean and sober and relapse free for 10 and a half years now. I got into this area about 8 years ago as an author and a speaker. I've written 4 books about porn addiction and betrayal trauma. And I also have given hundreds of interviews on radio, TV, podcasts. I have done a TED Talk, all that happy stuff. But during the pandemic, beginning of the pandemic, I couldn't do my public speaking, and I was making money going to colleges and other places giving presentations and speeches. That stopped because we couldn't go out in public anymore. So I switched gears and I got certified as a pornography addiction coach, as a betrayal trauma coach, and as a therapeutic disclosure specialist. That basically means that I can help the addict, I can help the partner of the addict, and I can help both people help rebuild the relationship, focusing on communication and especially trust. So that's what I do professionally now. I'm here to answer your questions for a while. I'll probably go for another hour or so as long as the questions keep coming. And don't hesitate to ask a question or make a comment. Appreciate that. And if you're looking for any one-on-one private time with me, if you would like to sit down with my coaching, whether you are the addict or the betrayed partner, visit the front page of my profile. Up in the bio, you'll see a link that says Calendly. Just click on that and you'll learn all the information you need to book a session with me. How did I recover? Asks Girl V. I recovered because I ultimately decided I had to. I decided that I had to. I was going to lose my wife. I was going to lose my kids. I had already lost my job, where I owned 1/3 of the company, by the way. My life was circling the drain, and I had 2 choices. I could either leave the life behind that I knew and go be an addict and start a new life. I probably would be dead by now had I chosen that. Or I could decide to put my ego aside. I could decide to put my pride and my shame aside and figure out, how do I fix these addictions? And that's what I decided to do. I was very lucky at the time. I had some money that I had saved for years and years and years. So I was able to pay my way through 2 rehabs, one for alcohol and then one for porn and sex addiction. But most of it had to do with me writing, doing the research for my books, and sitting with 1 therapist and 2 coaches. And I still have that therapist and those 2 coaches, 8 years later, 9 years later, just for check-ins. They still help. But, I put my ego aside and I decided I was going to do what I had to do. And I think that's why I haven't relapsed once, because I decided this is it. This is it. I am done. I am done. Sierra Lewis, hi. It's a really bad addiction. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, it is. Absolutely. It is the way that our, children, 12 to 17 is the biggest users of porn in the world. 12 to 17. They are learning how to regulate their moods based on hardcore sexual activity while not realizing what it's doing to their mind, while not realizing there may be sexual dysfunction involved, while not realizing that it might be causing certain stereotypes, while it might be causing certain beliefs in gender or sexuality to get hard baked in there. It's absolutely a really bad addiction. Zayway says, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I got into therapy, but I'm just stopping and not recovering. Well, that's it. And maybe you don't click with your therapist. That's one big thing. You've got to be able to be 100% honest with your therapist or your coach or whoever you're talking to. If you can't be, you're probably not going to heal. If you don't think that's the person who can help you, they're probably not going to help you. You need to have somebody that you click with. One of the things that I find a lot in my practice is that I deal with people who already have a therapist, but they don't want to talk to their therapist about this, or their therapist has no real clue about addiction. Their therapist can help a lot of things, but doesn't know the first step about addiction, never was an addict like I was, so they can't suggest it. And the other thing I'll throw out there, and I know you didn't ask this, Zayway, but don't ever look at a marriage counselor or a couples therapist to fix an addiction. That's not what they do. That's not what they do. Thank you all for so many of you joining me today. I appreciate that. Thank you for tapping up those likes. I appreciate it very much. How do you know when you have an addiction? Well, if you're talking specifically about an addiction to pornography user, what I would suggest is you go to the front page of my profile. Up on the pinned videos that you'll find at the top, one of them is called The 11 Symptoms of Porn Addiction, and you can always watch that video. Take the quiz, the survey, the poll, whatever you want to call it. The video is only about 2 minutes long, and you will be able to score yourself at the end and determine if you have an addiction. But the bigger question is, what are you going to do if you find out you do? Most people who have to ask if they have an addiction usually end up having one, in my experience. Dawn29, should I delete X Twitter because of all the thirst traps? If they are causing you to then move on to pornography, absolutely. The number one reason that most people give me, men and women who are porn addicts, who I see as a coach, it's because they start scrolling. Something triggers them. Now, we can get into whether they really want to use porn and they start by using social media first. And I can get into that more if you want. But if it's going to not be part of the leap into pornography, great. If you're just going to go to Instagram or TikTok or some other social media and look for thirst traps, well, then what really is the difference? If you're going to no longer look for thirst traps, but just go straight to the porn, what really is the difference? When people talk about filters, when people talk about different software, accountability software, tracking software, I think that's all great, and I think it can stop you, and it can be an incentive to stop, especially if your partner or somebody is getting the results of your searches. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to build yourself to be strong enough to not go look at this stuff, to not want, you should be able to scroll Twitter and scroll right past that. Twitter, TikTok, all of these social medias give you this stuff because you've either liked the people who have these accounts, you either follow the people who have these accounts, or you watch them for a while. That's a real big part of it, is that you don't have to push buttons. If you're just sitting here watching, they know. When I'm done these lives, I usually like to see what the analytics are. Who was watching, what did they respond to, and it tells me the top 100 people, how long they were on here. And it tells me how many comments everybody made. It gives me all kinds of information. You don't have to make a comment for me to know how long you are on here. There are people who come and just lurk day after day for an hour. I know you're there because social media keeps track of this stuff. And social media is just trying to make money. They're just trying to make money. They don't care if you like videos of, people acting sexy or you like videos of kittens being cute. They just want to put videos in front of you that they think are going to make them money. Smoothie Bun says, I'm going to tell my friend on Saturday. I'm going to tell him about you and all the facts. Fantastic. I'm proud of you for that. I hope that goes well. I really hope that goes well for you. And I think it'll feel like a little bit of a weight off your shoulders to share this with somebody so close to you in your real life. It makes it real. So many people come and sit down with me, and our first time, they look like a deer in headlights. They've never talked about this before. They've probably never admitted out loud that they've masturbated. They've probably never admitted out loud that they looked at this kind of stuff. They probably are not, what's the word I'm looking for? They are, shame. I guess I'm trying to find a better word, but shamed. They're ashamed of their use. And removing that shame is a big thing, and bringing it into the real world, not just living with this secret. I'm a porn addict. Is anybody going to find out? What are people going to think? Are they going to think I'm a pervert? Are they going to think I'm some kind of sex freak? Are they going to think that, I'm dirty? I have low morals? If they do, that's on them. But it's important to have people in your real life talking to you about this kind of stuff. So very proud of you, Smoothie Buns. Hey, Kevin, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad that you are joining us another day. Good to see you. Thank you, all of you who are joining. Thank you, those of you who are tapping up the likes. If you're not following me, please do. You will learn more about the when I go live, and also you will get more of my videos in your feed. That's temptation for you, says Sierra. Temptation is freaking everywhere. You have to learn to have the courage, to have the willpower, to have the discipline not to fall into temptation. And there are many different ways to do that. I've never seen two people recover the same way. That's one of the things that makes my job really interesting, is that no two people recover the same way. But it's a lot of detective work to figure out how to recover. It's a lot of, going deep and searching and figuring out, how do you heal? How can we make things better? But I'll tell you, it is the most rewarding job in the world. And if anybody who's listening is like, well, how do I get a one-on-one session with you? Visit the front page of my profile, and up in the bio, there's a link that says Calendly. Click on that, whether you're an addict, whether you're the partner of an addict who's dealing with trust issues and betrayal, or you want me to talk to both of you at the same time. That happens a lot too. Hey, Nick, I just find myself confronting temptation and move on from the urge to. That's fantastic. Yeah, we were just talking about that. That's fantastic. That is building strength, and that is a big part of it. That's a big part of it. So I'm glad to hear that you're able to do that. That's a big piece of recovering. Amanda, look at all those likes. Thank you. Appreciate that. What is your occupation? It's this. I am now a full-time pornography addiction coach. I'm a full-time betrayal trauma coach. and I'm a full-time therapeutic disclosure specialist. I am working on another book right now, and I am working on a new product for porn addicts that will be something of a calendar plan / workbook for trying to get through this on your own. I think it could be very helpful. Hopefully these things will come into fruition in January. Still working on them. But yeah, my occupation is a coach. I'm a full-time coach dealing with porn addicts, their partners, and their relationships. And thanks for being here, Alexander. I appreciate it. Nice to have you here. I can't wait, Josh. Thank you. And please, obviously, let us know what happens. Sorry, I accidentally closed the app. That's okay. I didn't know that, Kevin. They don't let me know. Thank you, those of you hitting up the likes. Oh, look, Diego followed me. Thank you, Diego. Post-asthmatic, like that name. Thank you for hitting up those likes. Appreciate it. Thank you, Smoothie Buns and Zayway, for all the likes. Alrighty, I think I've caught up with the... oh, no, here it is. I'm still getting comments. Nick says it has real effects on your health, too. Hormonal fluctuation, nutrient depletion. Yeah, Nick, not really. Hormones have nothing to do with pornography addiction. You might be thinking of your reproductive system. You may be thinking of testosterone. You may be thinking of the sex act and some sexual dysfunction that comes with that. But this is really different. This is addiction. And the fact that, it has naked people, the fact that it has sexual connotations is kind of secondary. The reality is that this is really about the chemicals in your head. This is really about needing to control your life. This is really about needing to cope with your life. And we could just as easily be sitting here talking about gambling, talking about food, talking about video games, a million other things that people can get addicted to. But it doesn't really have to do with some of that stuff that you're talking about. Absolutely, the sexual dysfunction does deal with all that stuff, 100%. Hey, Christian Rodriguez, hello. Been a while since I have seen you. I hope you're doing well. Smoothie Buns, thank you for all the likes. Plenty of time to ask questions right now. Plenty of time to add your comments. Whether you are the partner, we haven't heard from any partners yet today. Which is fine. Sometimes it's all partners. Haven't heard much about people's struggles. Haven't heard much about people's streaks. So keep asking the questions. Keep sharing your stories. This is a safe place. Somebody says something stupid, we are going to get rid of them. And I just don't mute them. I fully block them for the rest of my life because I am too old to deal with stupid people at this point in my life. It's just not worth it, And I understand why people are trolls. Back when I was 22, I was not happy. I was, I thought I needed to be different. I thought I needed to be clever. I didn't want to conform. I didn't want to take things seriously. And that was all to my detriment. And someday the trolls will recognize I am achieving nothing here. And you find that out on your own. So I'm going to go ahead. Christian says, when binging one day feels like weeks without. Yep, I hear that a lot, Christian. I hear that a lot from people. 3 weeks clean, keep God first. That is awesome. 21 days. 21 days is when a lot of the literature I've read says that the brain begins to heal. Now, this is not like a cut on your finger. The brain doesn't heal in a matter of 2 or 3 days. It can take months. It can take years. But 3 weeks is when it starts. 3 weeks is when it starts. So keep going, man. You know, you have a lot of work to do, but you've hit an important milestone. Cursed Chaos Chronicles. I like the alliteration. My husband thinks he can get over this without a coach or therapy. He thinks cold turkey works. Thoughts? Even if he can stop, even if he fasts, he's not recovering. He's stopping. This is like he's going on a porn diet. You know, look at people who are 500 pounds. They stop eating cake for a month. Does that mean they don't like cake anymore at the end of the month? No. Is the cake the real problem? No. It is, why did they need the cake? Why did they get to the point that they are so ill? And obviously with food, it's much more visual that somebody is sick than with pornography, where it's kind of easily hidden from the eye. But I would suggest that all he's doing is fasting. All he's doing is trying to white knuckle this. The biggest problem is not that he's looking at pornography. The biggest problem is, why did he start to look at pornography? Why does he continue to look at pornography? I'm sure that when he started, all of the guys around that age were doing it. Hell, most of the girls were probably doing it too. I get more and more female addicts, you know, every month into my practice. So, but anyway, he's afraid. He doesn't want to deal with it. He doesn't want to have to tell anybody, I look at naked girls. He doesn't want to have to tell anybody, I masturbate. He doesn't want to have to talk about why this stuff happened when he was young, how he got into this. He's probably very embarrassed. He's probably very ashamed. And he's digging in his heels because he's probably using for the very reasons he doesn't want to go talk to somebody about it. So I would say for you, Cursed Chaos Chronicles, if he's not going to go to a coach, if he's not going to go to a therapy, if he's not going to go to 12-step groups, strap in, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. He's probably not going to be successful with cold turkey. You can't just cut it off and say, okay, I'm all better. You know, again, go back to that person who is grotesquely overweight, morbidly obese. Great, you stopped eating cake. Why did you eat so much cake for 20 years? Why did you let yourself get this way? This is not what the average person does. This is what somebody does who is dealing with something. This is somebody who is using food as a coping mechanism, much like the way that your husband has used pornography as a coping mechanism. Until he deals with what he started using for way back in the day. What were the first things he had to cope with? Because he hasn't resolved those. They've probably affected him for the rest of his life. I can't tell you what they are because I don't know him, but statistically, going cold turkey without any other help, that's not going to last. And I wouldn't plan on that lasting. You're welcome. Keep God first. I'm proud of you for doing the 21 days. Real question. What if I don't mind the addiction? That's fine. That's fine. I'm just here telling you what it's doing to you. It's eating away at your brain. It's literally causing brain damage. If you don't mind brain damage, that's fine. There's a good chance that at some point, like most of my male clients, you will, if you're a guy, you will experience erectile dysfunction. You are probably shutting yourself off to a huge part of the population if you're looking to couple, because a whole lot of people out there don't want to be with a porn-addicted partner. They view it as cheating. So you don't have to mind the addiction. You can keep going with it all day long. That's fine. But at least be educated about it. You know, when people have been smoking their whole life and they end up with lung cancer, it's like you knew what could happen. That's not the case with porn addiction. That's one of the big reasons I'm out here. One of the big reasons I write my books. One of the big reasons I go on, so many podcasts is to educate about what this will do to you. And now that you know, make your decision. There's still, my wife works in respiratory therapy. You can see people who are pushing oxygen carts come out of the building and light up a cigarette. That's stupid. There's no other word for it. But you can't stop them, just like I can't stop you. Steven, will stop watching porn fix my ED? Maybe, maybe not. It depends if it caused it. ED can be caused by many things. Yes, pornography is one of them. Yes, we are seeing more porn-induced erectile dysfunction than we've ever seen in our lifetimes. Yes, porn-induced erectile dysfunction is actually hitting 18 to 25-year-old guys. Huge. Men in their early 20s are having erection issues at 1,000 times the rate when I was 20 years old. That's how huge it's become. That said, erectile issues can be from other health issues, be it mental, be it physical. So what I would urge you to do is talk to your doctor about your ED and rule out anything physical, rule out anything else mental, and then you will know that it is the porn-induced erectile dysfunction. And yes, if you stop watching, if you stop masturbating, it will help, but it can also take quite a while. Johnny B, where are you here? I'm going to get to everybody's comments. I promise. Thoughts on rejection from romantic interest in childhood leading to the addiction? Absolutely. Rejection from anybody. I've got people who were, rejected from, groups of friends, rejected by kids at school, just bullied, who felt that they were rejected by their families. Their parents didn't spend enough time with them, didn't pay attention enough to them. Rejection will absolutely cause trauma. And here's the thing, when you think about it, nobody in porn is ever going to reject you. You pop it on your phone, you pop it on your laptop. Nobody is ever going to say, whoa, not today, Johnny. Nope, not you, Johnny. We don't love you. We don't want to be with you. They always accept you because they can't talk to you. They're not going to be mean to you. So, Johnny, that may absolutely be where it started. That absolutely makes sense, and I see that with many of my clients. It makes you view women horribly. Absolutely. I was talking about the new documentary on Peacock, tracing the rise and fall of the Girls Gone Wild phenomenon about 20-25 years ago. And how they viewed women was just abhorrent. Just disgusting. Can you elaborate on the brain damage? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to get too deep into the science of it, but essentially your brain is like a superhighway system. And all of the information gets moved along these sort of highways, and you're called your neural pathways. This is what neurotransmitters follow on. As you use pornography, usually when you're young, as you start to develop a thirst for it, your brain starts to recognize, hey, this stuff is helping him or her. So your brain slowly starts to change. Your brain basically rebuilds itself. And this is happening all the time. It's called neuroplasticity. Your brain is always in a state of development. That's why people tell you take classes and learn your whole life to keep your brain sharp, because your brain is constantly evolving. Well, your brain gets to a point where, oh my goodness, we know how to deal with our problems. We know how to deal with anxiety, stress, whatever is going on. And so you keep using, and what happens is that unlike a recreational user or a non-user, with an addicted user, you start producing certain chemicals, the pleasure chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. You start producing these at huge rates that normally you don't, normally you shouldn't. And while you are frying your receptors, while your brain is starting to shrink and pits and fissures are forming in there, you are just telling yourself this feels great. You are just telling yourself, well, I'm just looking at naked people doing naked things and I enjoy that. Everybody enjoys it. It's okay. But you become dependent upon it and it changes the chemistry of your brain. And not only does it change the chemistry of your brain, it sort of slows the evolution of your brain. Most people who quit at 35, 40, 45, they only have the coping skills of a teenager. Because think about it. If you become an addict at 14, 15 years old, all of a sudden you don't have to worry about problems anymore. You don't have to worry about your anxiety. You don't have to worry about stress. You don't have to worry about anything out there because you can always retreat back to your pornography, and that will help everything. And that kind of programming of your brain gets difficult to unprogram, but it is absolutely possible. It is absolutely possible because your brain continues to evolve. You just have to deal with what made you an addict in the first place. How did that trauma that made you an addict shape your life? You have to understand how you became the person that you are today. That's really one of the most important things. Sorry that took a while. I'm going to get to all your comments. Juan Venegas says, unfortunately decided on change too late. As long as you're above ground and breathing, it's never too late, Juan. Doug Grosh says, how do you stop? God has been helping me a lot. That's fantastic. How do you stop? You have to identify your urges and triggers. You have to come up with motivation for stopping. You have to have a strategy, which I can tell you as somebody who's been through recovery and as somebody who has been working in it for the last 5 years, I've never seen anybody recover by themselves. You need to have a team. You need to have people around you. Also, I would suggest that you try to be around people. If you get an urge to use, the worst thing you can do is be by yourself. That's easy. If you're around somebody, odds are you won't look at the stuff. If you're around somebody, odds are you won't pleasure yourself. So, there are a lot of different ways to go, Doug. And if I can help you at all, please set up a session with me. I love to meet new people. I love to help new people, whether I sit with you one time or you become one of these people who sees me every week for years. That's cool. People become both. If you're interested in meeting with me, visit the front page of my profile. Up in the bio, you'll see a link that says Calendly. Just click on that and you'll get all the information that you need. ASDFG, also known as left side of the home row. I watch a good amount of porn, but how do I know if it's to the levels one would label an addiction? Great question. Go to my front page. There are pinned videos at the top. One of the pinned videos is called The 11 Symptoms of Porn Addiction. Watch that video and you can decide for yourself whether you're an addict or not. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the shares. Please please follow me if you're not already. Keep the comments coming. It's 2:30 here on the East Coast. I don't have a session till 4 o'clock, so I am more than happy to stay here as long as I can, as long as people keep talking. Hey, Cursed Chaos, as the wife, it hurts. Absolutely. I'll never view myself the same again or our 13-year relationship. Well, it's not about you. And I know you probably recognize that on some level, but the reality is all of the seeds of his addiction were there before he ever met you. If he has ever said anything hurtful or mean, it comes from a place of ignorance. It comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of not owning his problem. You have nothing to do with it. It's not that you are not as pretty as you once were. It's not that you are not as good in bed as you once were. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with you whatsoever. Don't try not to view yourself poorly, because that's not fair for you. That's not fair for you. Trust, that's another issue. That's a tough one. Never viewing your relationship again the same? Well, it's 13 years, but you're not in jail. You can always free yourself if you need to, or you can work on it. You can create some boundaries. You can tell him that you have expectations if he wants to move forward in this relationship. You know, you're his partner. You're his wife. Even if he's not a porn addict, you should be able to say, I don't want you to use pornography, as your life partner, as supposed to be your best friend, as the person you're supposed to care about more than anybody else. I don't know if you have kids together or not, but maybe even as the mother of your kids. It hurts when you use this, and it hurts that you won't go get it taken care of. You may be the coolest, toughest dude on earth. You're not going to overcome pornography addiction, or really any addiction, by yourself. It would be like saying, I'm going to fight my diabetes on my own. That doesn't make any sense. Christian, it helped stop mine. Wasn't fully... I lost my place here. It helped stop mine. Wasn't fully soft, but not strong at all. Yeah, well, that's because you use a lot. Is 6 hours per day average? No, that is excessive. That is above what the common averages are. The average use of porn for a recreational user is about an hour to an hour and a half a week. The average use for an addict is 7 to 10 times that. So it's more like 7 to 10 hours a week, or 7 to 12 hours a week. 6 hours a day is well above average. Hello, Roleplay. Good to see you. User 418. Also, what's the best way to quit? It's literally everywhere, especially on every social media app. The best way to quit is the way that works for you. And that's why I urge everybody to try just about everything. Try therapy, try a coach, try a 12-step group, try reading about it. If you have the means, try rehab. Try watching videos. Everybody recovers a different way. For me, for instance, I went to AA for 9 months. I went to SAA, that's Sex Addicts Anonymous, for 6 months. I loved them in big cities. When I came back to my rural area up here in Maine, I didn't like the meetings because it was all the same type of people. When I was in Dallas, the Sex Addicts Anonymous meetings were full with men and women who had all kinds of different stories, all kinds of different backgrounds, different races, different religions. It was fascinating to hear all of the stories. I came up to Maine and suddenly, it's all a bunch of 40-year-old white guys complaining about their wives and girlfriends not giving them enough sex, so they have to look at porn or they have to cheat. I recognized at that point these guys were not in the game to get healthy. They were probably there just to make their partner happy. And I wasn't going to improve being around those kinds of people. So I left. 12 steps was not the right thing for me. But there were people in there for 20 years who preach by it and swear by it. Cool. Whatever way works for you is the way that is supposed to work for you. How to stand, asks Roleplay. You just get off your chair, prop yourself on your feet. In a sense, Are fetishes also signs that the PA is knee deep into their addiction? Good question. It depends on the fetish, of course. If you're talking about videos, now if they want to act out in certain ways in the bedroom, if they want to, have risky sex in public and stuff like that, that's getting to another level. But we are not the porn that we look at. The thing with porn addicts is the same thing with all addicts. The addiction has to escalate. For instance, as I mentioned, I was an alcoholic for 22 years. When I started drinking at 14, 2 beers could do it for me. By the time I was getting out of high school, I needed a 6-pack to get a buzz. By the time I was 25, I needed a case of beer to get a buzz. By the time I was 30, I had to quit drinking beer and move on to hard stuff because beer couldn't get me drunk. It escalates like somebody sitting at a blackjack table. First, a $10 bet does enough for you. Then it needs to be 20, then 50, then 100 to get that same dopamine release. It's kind of the same thing with pornography addiction. The stuff that people get into is not going to continue to create the pleasure feeling in the head. To get the chemicals to secrete, to get the neurotransmitters to start firing, it needs to be more extreme. It needs to be more visual. That's how you get people watching stuff that in real life, if they opened a door and it was on the other side, they would shut the door and run in the other direction. We are not the porn that we watch. And a perfect example of this is right now, I have 7 to 10, 8 to 10 female clients. More than half of them watch only female pornography. And there's not a lesbian or bisexual I'm aware of in the bunch. It's just what they watch. And as long as it's legal, I don't think you can read too much into it. It just might be that yes, it's a sign that they are knee deep into their addiction, but it is not a sign of anything else. If they like watching grannies in diapers, that doesn't mean they want that in real life. It just means they have fried their brains so much, they've got to watch these extreme genres. Hope that answers that. We can all recover. Absolutely, Kelvin. Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. Last, I have an extreme vivid imagination. So how can I escape that given that I have an addiction? It's going to be training yourself over time. It's also a matter of your imagination, your short-term memory lives right here in the frontal lobe, prefrontal cortex, temporal lobe. I forget the name. I'm sorry. Your addiction lives back here, but your temporary memory lives right here. These are your current thoughts. These are what you're doing now. This is short-term memory. This has just so much space to devote to. It's kind of like disk space on a computer. What you need to do is you need to use that space for something else in the moment. So if you are having a vivid image of something sexual, start doing something else immediately. Start playing a video game. Start reading. Start doing something that is going to take your attention and your concentration away from that. I would also guess that your brain is subconsciously working against you. It knows that you can get triggered this way. It knows you can get urges this way. Your brain wants you to use. So it's probably giving you a lot of these vivid imageries. If you can stop, over time, they will go away. ASDFG, I watch a good amount of porn, but how do I know it's the level 1 would label an addiction? Again, go to the front page of my profile. There are 3 pinned videos. Up at the top, one of the pinned videos is called The 11 Symptoms of Porn Addiction. Check that out. Please keep tapping up the likes. Please keep tapping up the likes. Please keep tapping up the likes. Thank you. Appreciate it. If I say anything awesome, share it. Up next, we have user 1366 who says, I don't feel like I have trauma, though it just happened. I understand. I understand. When I started this process, I didn't think I had trauma. I had a great job. I mean, I just had been fired from it, but it was a company I built. I had a wife. I had 2 kids. I had a house. I had 2 nice cars. I come from a really good family. Most of them are educators. My dad never beat the crap out of me. You know, they never neglected me. I didn't think I had any trauma. Then through some talking with experts, with trauma experts like I am now, it became clear I had trauma. I just didn't know how to dig for it. I didn't know how to look for it. Because keep in mind, trauma can come out of the most minor things. We don't understand a lot about trauma at this point, but we know that it affects everybody differently. You could be part of a set of triplets. Something traumatic could happen to all 3 of you. One of you could basically be institutionalized because the trauma was so massive they can't function. And on the other side, you could have somebody who it didn't faze them one bit. They are fine. And you're somewhere in the middle. But I will tell you, user, I have never met the person that doesn't have trauma. Not all of us realize it. And like I said, I didn't realize it for a while. Took me another 6 months after I started recovery to uncover my second biggest piece of trauma involving my grandmother and some mental abuse that she did to me when I was young. Turns out she did the same thing to my mother. That's how I discovered it. But it's okay to feel like you don't have trauma. You probably need to talk to somebody who knows how to dig a little bit to help you uncover it. Spudster, thank you for following me. Appreciate it very much. Thank you guys for tapping up the likes. Took me a while to see how it can hurt your partner. Absolutely, Christian, because the thing is, and this is one of the things I hear the most, is that it's not cheating. It's not cheating. Of course it's cheating. If the partner has specifically told you they don't want you using, if you have to lie to them about your use, that's cheating. Because what is cheating? Cheating is breaking a rule. Cheating is not just having sex with someone else. You go take a test in school and you cheat, you're not having sex with anybody. You're playing a board game or playing cards and you cheat, that's not having sex. That is breaking a rule. That's cheating. If you go 90 miles an hour in a 55, that's cheating. So it absolutely hurts the partner, 100%. And I'm sorry I'm falling behind. I'm so sorry. Sergio Pounder, thank you for following me. Chaos Chronicles says, thank you. I immediately started therapy to get myself through this. I just wish he would. You know what I urge you, Kirst, is show him some of my videos. Say I want you to go talk to this guy. He'll find funny videos. He'll find me being normal. Show him, if you can find, if you're ever around with him when I'm doing a live, show him this. Maybe somebody like me talking to him over the computer is the first step. Maybe he's not comfortable sitting across from somebody and he doesn't understand there are other ways. By too late, I mean the damage was done to my partner and it cost me my relationship of 13 years. I'm sorry, Juan. That sucks. That sucks. It sucks when people have to learn that. I was almost there. Myself. I'm going to catch up with everybody's comments, I promise. And I'm going to answer some ones quickly. In getting better, how much better in the addiction should you get before you seek a relationship? That's up to you. There is no line. I would say when you can tell the truth. When you can tell the truth about who you are, I would say that's a very good sign. Put your faith in God, says Caden. Be in the Word all day. Read your Bible. Get off social media. Well, putting your faith in God for people who are agnostic or atheist is not going to happen, but they still can recover. For those people who are religious or are spiritual, leaning onto that can absolutely help too. Absolutely. Doggy dog. Why is it bad though? It doesn't hurt anyone and it's like watching Netflix. Do you really believe that? After all I've been talking about, how it causes brain damage, go watch the new documentary on Peacock about Girls Gone Wild, about how there's 40 and 45-year-old women out there who are still living down the fact that they were drunk one day at spring break, and this has been following them ever since. Talk to all of the college girls who have to deal with virgin men having sex for the first time, and their sex ed has been a non-stop stream of porn, so they think they're supposed to act like porn actors. Look at how it is forming sexual beliefs and sexual mores in our society. There is nothing healthy about it. Yet there are tons of scientific studies about this. When you say it doesn't hurt anybody, I urge you to talk to the wives and the girlfriends of the porn addicts who I talk to. I urge you to talk to, this person just said earlier that they lost their relationship of 13 years. That didn't hurt them. We know addiction actually changes your brain's chemistry. So I appreciate you, doggy dog dog, but you're wrong. You're wrong. Thin Blue Line, 1989. But what if your wife isn't putting out and you've talked about it with her? What can you do? Well, you can leave. If your marriage is contingent on having sex with your partner and she doesn't want to have sex with you, you can either stay in a sexless marriage or you can move on. Or you can go to some kind of counseling with her, some kind of coaching with her, and talk about this. I would wonder first, why doesn't she want to have sexual relations with you? And, what's going on there? Because if you want to have sex with your partner and they don't want to have sex with you at all, you may have to ask yourself some difficult questions. Now, maybe she has trauma. Maybe she has issues around sexuality. Maybe this causes great issues for her. You should probably, talk to her about that. See if there's someone she should go talk to. But ultimately, lying and going behind her back and satisfying yourself to pixels of other people, that's not going to help the marriage. That's not going to help the marriage at all. Thank you for following. Thank you for hitting up the likes. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it all very much. Try Sudoku. Absolutely, Christian. That is a great way to distract yourself. Go download a game or an app geared towards fourth graders about doing your multiplication tables. I promise you, if you're doing a speed game of your multiplication tables for 3-4 minutes, you're not going to think about porn because you're going to be thinking about that high score. Way back in the day, and I don't know if it's there anymore because I haven't used Facebook in like 9 years, but way back in the day when I first got into recovery, Facebook had a typing game. I would play the hell out of that, and it took my mind off everything except what I was doing in front of me. Lone Wolf, thank you for your work. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Sorry the Celsius is causing indigestion, but as I always say, if anybody knows people at Celsius, I'm looking for a sponsorship because Lord knows I spend too much money on it. Keep God first. The thoughts in your head saying one last video, is that us or like a demon? Well, keep God first. Let's be honest. On a scientific level, there's no proof that demons exist. Is it that part of your brain that wants to make things easy? Is it that part of your brain that knows that whatever you're going to go do, Whether you're going to go visit grandma, or you're going to go wash the dishes, or you're going to go to bed, or you're going to watch a TV show, using porn feels better. You've been conditioned to put pornography at the top of the pleasure list. So when you're one last video, that's like, laying in bed in the morning and hitting snooze again and again. I've got 6 more minutes, snooze. I've got 6 more minutes, snooze. I think it's a lot like that. I think it's really in your head. And I know you're religious and I appreciate that, but I deal more with science. I think I have a very strong spiritual core, but when I look at solutions to this, I don't know how to treat a demon. I mean, exorcism. Policy of Truth 99. Are you familiar with Mark Kweppet's material on corn addiction recovery? I am not, but I will check out his name, Mark Kweppets. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thanks, giving a follow. Appreciate it very much. I see you did. Gonna try and force myself to reach out. Please do. I am the least judgmental person you're gonna meet. I was a freaking addict for 24 years. How can I judge you? Whatever you've seen, I've seen. Whatever hell you've gone through, I've gone through. I am in no place to shame you, embarrass you, judge you, condemn you. You're sick. You have an illness. You have the illness of addiction. It's actually a disease. So please do reach out. You skipped mine, says Jazzy J. Actually, I didn't see it, dude. And here's the problem is that TikTok bans a lot of words. I also have to ban a few words in here to keep things on track. Can you rewrite what you said, Jazzy J, and try to make it a little bit more G-rated? Laser Space, wait, are we not supposed to watch it all, or how do we know if we are addicted? Yes, if you're an addict, you should not watch it all. It's like if you're a cigarette addict, you should not smoke it all. If you're an alcoholic, you should not drink it all. If you want to know if you are an addict, go to the front page of my profile and check out the pinned video at the top that says the 11 symptoms of corn addiction, and you can decide for yourself whether you're an addict. Policy of Truth 99. Is that that's a Depeche Mode album, Policy of Truth. Journaling is absolutely essential, as well as learning how to accept bad feelings without escaping. Yeah, you know what's funny, Policy of Truth, is that my first book came out of my journaling. Because I wrote a lot of things, and it was 2 years before I started to actually write my first book, but journaling hugely helped me. Now, granted, I was a professional writer beforehand, so, I know I don't speak the best, but I'm a decent writer. And I think writing your thoughts, especially when you know nobody else is going to view them, is huge. One of the things I share with my early clients is one of the best activities that you can do for yourself. I don't need to see it. I don't need to hear it, is to write your life story. And it doesn't have to be 4, 5, 6, 7 pages. It could be 2 pages. Just write about yourself. And it's amazing some of the things that that come out. Innocence. How do you dig deep into know your trauma? Well, you may not be able to. 2 reasons. Number one, if it's deeply buried, you don't know how to get at it because you're not in this area. It's like saying, how do you change the head gasket on a car? If you're not a mechanic, you don't know how. The other piece is that it's very hard to be unbiased. You are at the center of your storm. So you're going to have history. You're going to have certain biases. You're going to have certain values, certain thoughts, certain memories, which may not be completely accurate about your history. So trying to dig into your own trauma is usually a fool's errand. it usually doesn't work. 'Cause there are people who will sometimes point to, their trauma, and you get into it with them, and that's not exactly their trauma. I had that happen with me last year. An example that I share a bunch is a guy thought he had a fear of water, when what he had was a fear of his neighbor whose pool he fell into when he was a kid. And he carried that fear with him forever. Once we figured that out, there was no fear of water there. It's just that's what he told himself for so long. So you need to deal with somebody who can help you on a very objective level, because you're going to be subjective. You need somebody to help you on an objective level. I needed people to help me figure out my trauma. And even now that I know how to identify trauma in people, even now that I'm actually pretty damn good at it, I still go to a therapist. I still have 2 coaches, and they still will point things out to me where it's like, that's interesting. Hadn't thought of that, because I don't think that way. I'm not independent enough of myself. Keep God first. And Mix Isaac, having a great conversation. I like that a lot. Raindrop, teardrop. Thank you for following me. Appreciate that. Jenna says, this is good stuff. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jenna. I appreciate that. Hope you'll follow me. Advice to stop beating my sheet. Be around people. Be around people. When you're around people, you probably don't do that. And if you aren't around people, don't be with a device where you can find that stuff. If you can't look at it, you can't look at it. That's as simple as I can offer it. Go a lot deeper, figure out why you need to do that. But the easiest, start making it work today. Don't be around, or don't be by yourself when you get these urges, you get these triggers. You feel it coming on, go be around somebody. Leave the house if you have to. And if you are at home, it's at night, you're going to take your phone and go put it in a drawer in the kitchen. You don't need it. Read a book. Will watching it hold me back from achieving my goals? How so? Examples. I don't know. It didn't really hold me back from achieving my goals, but what was interesting is I ended up running a publishing company that created multiple magazines here in the Northeast. I ran for my city council and won my first time out. I helped create, I was one of the co-creators of a big film festival that Movie Maker magazine once called one of the 25 coolest in the country. I was busy all the time. I was achieving the goals, that I wanted to all the time. Now, here's the thing. Some of my goals should not have been my goals. I ran for city council because I wanted to see if I could win a popularity contest. Do you know who it matters who I'm popular with? My wife and my kids and my close friends and my family. But I didn't care about their love. I didn't care about their admiration. I just wanted a bunch of strangers to tell me how awesome I was. So, number 1, I would look at your goals and see if they are of the best priority. And the second piece I would say is that it may not hold you back from achieving your goals, but it doesn't mean that you're not still addicted. The last 4 or 5 years of my addiction, up until the very end, I probably used 5 nights a week, and it was between midnight and 3 a.m. I found time for it. If you're an addict, you'll find time for it. And it may hold you back. It may. I guess it depends on everybody's individual story. Cursed Chaos Chronicles. I like that name. I'm just probably going to say that in my head multiple times tonight. I bet 99% of the wives not putting out are doing all the emotional labor of the household and kids. In a lot of cases, yes. It's funny what happens is that the people who see me for porn addiction, it's usually younger men and women, or it's men who have been married for between 10 and 20 years, and their wives are just at the end of their rope because they have been doing everything. Sure, maybe he makes some of the money, but he's been checked out for a long time. He doesn't care about what's going on. He doesn't care about your feelings. And yeah, you have to do all that. It was that way with my wife. My wife, I gave my fair share of the money for all the expenses the last year I was an addict, but my wife has told me flat out, it's like you were a non-attentive roommate. And she's right. It was like that. Give up the Celsius. Christian, you can take my porn. You can take my alcohol. But if you take my caffeine, I'm going to have to fight you. Dimitri, I don't know why, but I'm randomly feeling the urge right now. Well, then stay here and keep listening. We're talking about porn. Maybe that's triggering to you. Maybe you shouldn't be here right now. Maybe you should go for a walk. Go hang out with somebody. You're feeling the urge, so you need to have another activity planned. Think about this. Everybody in here who's an addict, male or female, or even if you're not an addict but you use, you're going to feel it again. You're going to want to do it again. And if you don't want to do it, you better be prepared to do something else. So right now, while you're not using, why don't you make a list of 5 other things you can do? That way, when you start feeling the urge to use, when you know you're going to use, you have a plan to do other things. That's the problem that most people find, is that when they get that urge, they're not prepared for another activity. Prepare for the other activities now. Hey, Tyreek, good to see you. Glad you're here. Joe Blow, thank you for following me. I appreciate that very much. Made it 9 days, but peaked last night, unfortunately. Well, did you use? Did you actually use? That's what I'd ask. Did you actually use? Or did you just happen to see a naked person or a quick scene of pornography? Did you look with the intention of using pornography? Hi, Jordan. What is a disclosure coach? Can you talk a little bit more about that line of work? Absolutely. And I got certified with this because I recognized I can work with the addict. I can work with the betrayed partner, but working together is huge because it really comes down to being able to trust again, to being able to communicate again. And there are a lot of disclosure therapists and coaches out there. I do it either as part of the straight ahead coaching. I also have a program of, I think it's 7 to 10 sessions that you and your partner go to together and separately. And what it really is about the person who did the betraying, understanding what they did, understanding how it affected the person who was betrayed. The person who was betrayed gets the opportunity to ask any question they would like. And at the end, the person who did the betraying is also instructed on how to write an apology letter and how things are going to move forward. So it's really about a process of getting the truth out of the addict, or getting the truth out of the person who was betrayed. And it doesn't necessarily have to be porn this way. This can work on anybody who is betrayed. But yeah, therapeutic disclosure specialist is what it says on that little piece of paper I got. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them. I can tell you that of the people who have done disclosures with me, almost all of them are still together. It is a very powerful tool. It's also a powerful tool the way that I have designed it, because most therapists or coaches want you to spend like 4 to 6 months on a disclosure. I think you need to spend about 4 to 6 weeks. You can get it done then. Can I do it once a week? Well, I'm guessing if you have the hand power, you can. You can do it whenever you want. It's up to you to figure out if you have an addiction. Now, Most people who do it once a week, do they have an addiction? Not necessarily. So you'd have to figure that out yourself. But what I would say is go to the front page of my profile, look up at the pinned videos. There's one called The 11 Symptoms of Corn Addiction. Check that out. Opinion on Quandale Dingelt. I don't know what that means. Grape. Innocence says, what type of journaling would you do? I would do stream of consciousness. Just what you're thinking about in that moment. And don't hold back. If you're worried somebody is going to read it, light it on fire after. Destroy it. But getting it out on paper is huge. If you want to sit down and say, here are the reasons my childhood sucked. Here are the reasons I don't like my partner. Here are the things I would like different in my life. Here's the story of when my Cub Scout troop leader touched me. Whatever it is you want to write about it with 100% honesty. Don't hold back. Don't worry, if I write down, this happened, this makes me a bad... No, it doesn't make you a bad person. I hate my mom. Okay, you hate your mom. Doesn't that feel good to get it out on paper? And then, like I said, light it on fire. Tear it up. But get it out on paper. And don't do it on an iPad. Don't do it on a laptop where you're typing. Piece of paper and a pen. That's the best way to journal. Is it better to quit cold turkey or to slowly quit? It's better whatever way works for you. Most people cannot get cold turkey to work. I will be offering a product hopefully by middle of next month that helps people get through the quitting process. I'm hoping that will be ready. Cursed Chaos Chronicles. Hey, can you repeat what you said about cold turkey not working? Husband is here now listening. Well, hello, husband. Nice to see you. So what I was talking about is that most people cannot make cold turkey work, especially those who are addicts. If you're an addict and you just go cold turkey, you're not fixing anything. It's like you're going on a diet. Why do you use porn? Why do you need porn? What happened way back in the day that made you rely on porn? What were the first things that made you rely on porn? That's important to figure out. It's a lot like if a person, and I gave this example earlier, if a morbidly obese person gives up cake for 30 days, it doesn't mean they don't like cake at the end of the 30 days just because they went cold turkey, just because they, white-knuckled it. The real thing here is not about the pornography. It's about needing those chemicals in your head. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin that made you feel good, that are your coping mechanisms, that are your problem-solving skills. It's a relief to use this kind of stuff. But it's done damage to your brain. And unless you are going to be dealing with a therapist, dealing with a coach, going to 12-step groups, cold turkey is not going to fix anything. Maybe you are not wanting to talk about the fact you use porn. Maybe you don't want to talk about the fact you masturbate to it. Maybe you don't want to talk about how you discovered it. Maybe you have things that happened to you when you were young that you don't want to face. But if you're going to truly recover, you have to. It sucks. I had to go through it myself. I was a porn addict for 24 years. While I did technically go cold turkey, I went cold turkey at the same time that I was seeing a therapist and 2 coaches and doing a hell of a lot of studying about this stuff as well. If you're just going cold turkey and that's all, that's not recovery. That's fasting. That's starving yourself. Eventually, you're going to get hungry again. Check out my videos. Check out more of these lives. I'd love to talk to you if you ever have time to, one-on-one. You can learn how to set up a session with me on the front page of my profile. Up in the bio, there's a Calendly link. Check that out. You just have one conversation with me. And if you think you weren't addicted and you weren't addicted, I'll tell you. I have a couple who I met probably about 4 weeks ago. And I heard the story of his addiction. He wasn't an addict. He was somebody who used against his wife's will, but he wasn't an addict. And I'm not going to tell anybody they're an addict if I don't think they are. So I hope, and I also hope, for the sake of your wife, you will take her feelings very, very seriously. She's supposed to be your partner. She's supposed to be your best friend. I understand it can be fearful. I understand you can feel shame. I understand you can feel embarrassed. But this is supposed to be your partner for life. Don't you want her to be happy and comfortable? Or do you need to jack it to those naked ladies because that's more important? And just stopping doesn't really fix anything. So I hope Cursed Chaos Chronicles, that's what you needed to hear. This live was meant to be. I was about to relapse before opening the app. Fantastic. All right, Joe. I'm glad you're here. Or Joel, whatever. I hear this from a lot of people. I believe in signs. How many lives are going on right now? How many thousands, if not millions of people are on TikTok around the world right now? There's only 45 to 50 people in here right now, and you stumbled upon this. Take it as the sign it's supposed to be. Hey, Assange, I'm 2 weeks clean, but it's been tough, but I'm staying strong. Good for you. Good for you. 1 day at a time. 1 day at a time. You got through yesterday. Kudos. Tomorrow, hopefully you'll get through. But if you don't get through today, it really doesn't matter what happens tomorrow. You have today. Technically, you only have right now. And as long as you're not using right now, you're doing fine. Tyler says, I just use every day, not an addict. All right, Tyler. That sounds like true addict thinking. But you do you. Marcus says, would it be unreasonable to suggest that anyone who struggles with this just get a girlfriend or a wife? Yeah, because it's not about sex. It's about brain chemicals. It's about trauma. It's about coping. Would you tell somebody who has a gambling addict, just get a wife, get a husband? Video game addict, just get a wife or husband? No. This really doesn't have very much to do with sex. It really doesn't. It's just that people have found this, especially in today's day and age of everybody walking around with a device in their pocket, that this is a way to get a fix. Look at it back when I was like 12 years old and I became a porn addict. Nobody was going to sell me beer at 12. No one was going to sell me cigarettes at 12. I didn't even know where to get hard stuff at 12. I wasn't going to be invited into a casino at 12. What was I going to get addicted to? Porn was one of the few things I could get my hands on back when it was tough to get your hands on it. People who are between girlfriends, wives, boyfriends, husbands, because keep in mind, this isn't just a male problem. This is also a female problem. It doesn't have to do with your partner. And if you're between partners, some people's use pops up, but you can often tell an addict because when they get a new partner, their use will drop a little bit, but before long it goes back to where it was. Because it's, having sexual relations with a partner serves a different master than the reasons why somebody is an addict. Tyreek, That's for you, Christian. Um, yeah, I saw a quick scene and it got me triggered, so I wrote in my journal and went to bed. Good for you. Good for you. Um, it sounds like it wasn't a true relapse. You saw something that got you triggered and you went to bed. Now, I'm hoping you didn't masturbate. I'm hoping you didn't, go the full yard. Um, you can let me know if you did or not. But if you were able to stop it after just seeing it for a few seconds and then you went to do healthy activities, I would actually call that a win. Because here's the thing, dude, you're going to see naked people the rest of your life. And you're going to recognize that they're naked because that's not common. You're also going to recognize they're naked, especially if it's, if you're a straight guy, if you see a woman naked, you're going to be, oh, women naked, because you have sexuality within you. This process of recovery is not about making you asexual. It's about removing an addiction to sexual content that you have. But it's not about trying to extinguish your sexuality. I see a naked woman on TV. I still think to myself, hey, naked woman. I don't think, oh, I want to go satisfy myself. I don't think, oh, this is making me, anxious. This is triggering me. It doesn't do that anymore. But you can't stay away from sexual imagery. But you can control how you react to it. I think I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. It's hard not to get defensive. Work on that, Christian. Life's a lot easier when you don't get defensive, because here's the thing. When you get defensive, you are giving the other person's opinion or words probably more value than they're worth. I got in a discussion with a client the other day about, he believes that, everybody cares about what everybody else thinks about them. And I did for a long time, but I stopped. Because I learned when people get defensive with me, most of the time it's about them, not me. And most of the time that people tell me they love me, or most of the time people tell me they hate me, they don't really know me either way. So how can I take their opinion too seriously? Mixzik M, delete Twitter. Great. Remove your Safari or Chrome from your home screen. Do it now. Those are all great suggestions for slowing down. Ultimately, they won't heal you, but they will throw up some roadblocks to getting at this information. Amethyst Goddess 22222. Thank you for sharing this so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. CMAX says, is there such a thing as a normal amount of corn, or is any at all a problem? Well, I'll put it to you this way. Most people who utilize pornography utilize it in a way that we would call recreational, meaning it's not causing any physical or mental issues. Most people can. Just like most people can have a beer or two and leave the bar. Just like most people can be at a casino for an hour and then leave. But there is that small group of people to whom addiction and those activities are a big part of life. If you're an addict, no, there is no normal amount of porn you can watch. It's zero. If you're not an addict, then you have to judge that on your own. And I can give you all kinds of moral, ethical, and other statistics why maybe you shouldn't, talking about trafficking and stuff like that. But I don't make that my cause. You have to decide for yourself about watching it. But I wouldn't say there's a normal amount. I would say that a lot of people watch an amount that doesn't cause problems. There is no healthy amount. I've read hundreds of studies. I've read dozens of books in my research for my own books that I've written. And I have never read any conclusion that pornography is healthy. The most you can hope for is that it doesn't really have any effect. I'm single and stopped it 9 days ago as it was blocking my relationship with my God. I do miss it. You're 9 days in, of course. Of course you still miss it. You probably don't want to quit. But if it's affecting your relationship with your God, and the way to fix that relationship is through pornography abstinence, do that, my friend. And absolutely, if you need help from anybody, get help. Talk to people about this. You don't have to do this on your own. You absolutely don't have to do this on. Abby Gabri, I hope I said that correct. Abby Gabri? Either way, thank you for sharing the live. I appreciate it very much. User 102 relapsed this morning, went 27 days. Okay, well then let's quickly talk about what happened. What happened? When you relapse, here's the most important thing to do, is to do what I like to call the prelapse autopsy. This is when you go back and you look at what happened to lead you to the relapse, because you do not just find yourself magically sitting in front of your device, pants around your ankles, doing your business. It's a series of decisions that gets you there. It's a series of ignoring red flags that gets you there. So what happened? Did you know last night that it was going to happen this morning? Did you just wake up and know it was going to happen? Or did something happen this morning? Did you see a trigger? Did something, like something sexy? Did something happen? You got fired, somebody died, and you couldn't handle that, so you relapsed. What caused the relapse? What were the signs? What was the internal dialogue? What were the voices saying to you? How did you justify using? And I'm not saying any of this to condemn you or to judge you or to shame you. But what happened, there are a ton of clues for how you can not make it happen again. You went 27 days. That's freaking awesome, by the way. You went 27 days. Each day was its own unit that you conquered. Something was different about today. You need to figure out what was different about today, and then you need to plan a strategy. For almost 4 weeks, you had an impenetrable wall. And then for some reason, there's a little crack in that wall, and it got through. Well, you need to take the mortar, the putty, and fix that hole. So if these conditions ever happen again, you're prepared. So, use this as an experience to understand why it happened. It sucks, but hey, 27 more days is waiting. Appreciate what you're doing, says Up the Waterford. Thank you. Sam says you skipped me. Sam, you probably used a word that TikTok bans. Unfortunately, they ban a lot of words, and there are a few words that I ban too. Like I don't want to talk about politics, so there's, I don't allow the words Trump or Biden in this room. So Sam, I would ask you to either rephrase your question, or you could send it to me privately if you wanted. Hey Matt, I don't know what the zero means, a period. Matt 102, is there a way to have healthy relationship with corn? Is it just all bad? I just answered that. Am I religious? No. I was raised Catholic, but I kind of turned my back on that when I was 17 or 18. I only go to church now if it's for weddings or funerals. But I'll go to a synagogue or a mosque, for that kind of stuff too. It's not just based on that. But I am very spiritual. I have more faith than almost anybody I know. I just really don't need a book, and I don't need a building on the weekend to go to practice it. And it has absolutely helped in my recovery, 100%. But I am not religious. Bless you. Thank you, Innocence. Why would you stop? Because it's unhealthy, because it wrecks relationships, because it causes brain damage, because it causes sexual dysfunction, because it causes, messed up, ignorant thinking about sexuality. Plenty of reasons. Kim K, in a 2-year relationship and we are still very active. I can stop for a month or two, but can't quit. What is it after the month, that triggers you. Why do the relapses happen? It's like I just told user 102. What is it that triggered you on after a month or two? You have some weakness in the armor. And you've got to figure out what that is. And if you can't figure it out, you need to talk to somebody who can help you figure it out. Because you don't want to keep doing this. You clearly have a handle on dealing with it, but there are clearly some blind spots that you're unaware of that you need to talk out with somebody. User 310, is professional help necessary to recover? I will say that I have never seen anybody fully recover on their own, ever. So I believe yes. Professional help is necessary. Saw a trigger on social media and got too carried away. So what are you going to do different next time? And did you not see these triggers in the last 4 weeks? Was this a new trigger? Really dig into this. Were you in a tired mindset? Let's say you're into pink bikinis and you were scrolling by and there's a woman in a pink bikini. You probably saw pink bikinis over the last 4 weeks. How were you able to scroll by then? And what happened today? Was it your state of mind? Was it your physical mental health? Was it a big case of the fuckets and you just didn't care? You got to dig a little bit deeper. My longest record was 83 days. That is awesome. That's almost 3 months. Sounds like you have some handle on this, but like that other person, you've got some blind spots that you have to learn. And you might not be able to figure them out on your own. What time is it? Wow, I've been going almost 2 hours here. Jesse Collins says it's true. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying it's true to, but as long as you're agreeing with everything I say, I think you're awesome. What's wrong? What's wrong, doggy? You want to go outside? If you want to go outside, get up. Come on, get up. See, that's my... Hi. I'll show you. This is my little irritating dog, Harold. And over on the other side of the table is my German Shepherd. His name is Arlo, and he was the one that was whining, and I think he wants to go outside. So please, I'll stay here. Stay here for just a second. I'm going to let the dogs out. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. Come on, guys. Who wants to go out? Come on, Arlo. Arlo, you coming out? Come on. Come on. Okay. All right. 3 of the 4 dogs went out. The other one is sleeping. I think you maybe can see him back there on the couch. He's sleeping. And yes, I have 4 dogs. And yes, that's stupid. Logging says, been almost a year clean. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Or lady. I don't know who you are. Any help for regulating intrusive thoughts despite not acting on them? Well, do they last for a long time? Because here's the thing. You can't control intrusive thoughts for 2 or 3 seconds. You just can't do it. And I had one of my early caseworkers in a rehab I was at kind of explain this. And they said, your brain is going to think whatever it wants for 2 or 3 seconds. If you continue to think about this stuff for more than 2 or 3 seconds, then you are making the decision. And here's the example. Imagine that you're driving in traffic and someone cuts you off. And you think, you stupid mother, I'm going to kill you. I hate you. I would like to pull you out of your car and. But you don't do that. The guy cuts you off. They keep going. You go your direction. 5 minutes later, you can't even remember the color of the car. An hour later, you probably forgot about the whole thing. But for those 2 or 3 seconds, boy, were you angry. This is just natural. Let's say that you're a guy, and he's walking, and a beautiful woman's walking by. It's okay to, oh, that's a beautiful woman, and to keep on walking. That's not an intrusive thought. It's when you start making the decision to nurture, to curate the intrusive thoughts. So there's a beautiful woman walks by me. I still know what a beautiful woman is. Like I said, we're not trying to make you asexual with recovery. Beautiful woman walks by. I can still, she's beautiful. And I move on with my life, and I can't tell you what the hell she looked like 10 seconds later. But if there's a beautiful woman walking by, and I'm like, oh, she's beautiful. Oh my God, look at that tight skirt. Look at that tight top. Oh, wow, watch her go by. My God, look at that. She is beautiful. At that point, or if you don't even look, but she's still, oh yeah, I remember her. Boy, what a tight top. And man, you're making the decision. You're making the decision. So when you have intrusive thoughts, I want you to realize that you're adding gas on the fire. Find something else to think about. Find something else to focus on. Cam K, thank you for following me. User 310, my boyfriend hasn't watched in 2 months. I want him to get professional help. Do you think it's worth it to stay? I can't tell you for sure. I can't tell you for sure because I don't know how the relationship works otherwise. But if he's not getting professional help, if he hasn't talked to anybody who's a professional, he's just not watched in 2 months. He hasn't actually fixed anything because addiction lives up here. It's like, I was talking about food addiction earlier. Food addiction doesn't take place here. Porn addiction doesn't take place down there. All addiction takes place up here in the brain. So I think that if you believe he needs professional help, or you will not feel safe and secure until he gets it, let him know. And if he says no, and say, will you do it for me? Will you please see somebody and talk about this honestly? If they say no, I don't care what you think, I'm not going to do this. Well, that probably lets you know how things are going to move forward in your relationship. And then it's up to you to make your decisions that way. You're totally allowed to create some boundaries. If I can help one or both of you at all, please get in touch with me. You can schedule a session up at the top of my bio on the main screen and a link that says Calendly. If you're looking, I can help you. My sessions cost about a third of what a traditional therapist costs. And he can literally be in to see me tomorrow via Zoom. So he's not even sitting across from me. Hey, Fawn, I'm glad you're new. I hope you're following me. Welcome to the community. It's a safe place to talk, whether you're an addict or you're the partner of an addict. But I appreciate you saying hello. Thank you very much. And if any of us can help you at all, please let me know. Logging says, good explanation, trying to stay accountable and move past those follow-up thoughts after the first. Absolutely. This is a matter of changing your mindset. This is why I tell people that, you can't do this on your own usually. You have to be able to have somebody who can teach you how to change your mindset, how can recognize things that you're doing that you may not be able to recognize. And again, like I said, stay accountable to yourself. Don't beat yourself over the head if, you recognize somebody is pretty or something is sexual, or it is, are you now going to go off and use pornography and or masturbate to get a chemical reaction? That's really the bigger issue. I'm following you. I'm the partner of an addict. I'm sorry about that, Fawn. I'm sorry about that. I'm sure you didn't know it when you got together with him. I hope that you are able to traverse that, but if not, always here for you. I'm always here for you. User 310 says, thank you. I will look into it. Yeah, please do. You know, if he wants some help, I am the easiest dude to talk to. I'm not going to be in the room. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach. And the guy you see talking to you right here is the guy you're going to meet in a session. I think that most people who deal with me can tell you that I'm who I am all the time now. I don't have time to put on acts. This is me. And I am exactly what some people need, and I'm not what other people need. But I'm trying to be a voice out there. Assange, are you married or have you been married in the past? I am married. I've been married to my wife for 21 years. We've been together for 22 years. And I was an addict when I met her. She didn't know about the porn, but she learned pretty fast about the alcohol. And I was an addict of both alcohol and porn for the first 10 years of our marriage. Impossible to hide the alcohol, but pretty easy to hide the porn, especially if you're not looking for it. And we also were talking about a time where nobody talked about porn addiction. Logan says, rounding out this year of no viewing, next year will be no solo activity. Thanks for the kind words. Good for you. Good for you. But here's the thing. Why not just stop viewing today? Stop viewing today. You don't have to wait for this January 1st. It's Thursday the 4th? Good a day as any. Hey, Josh. I don't know if you remember me or not, but I've been struggling again. Gonna preserve though. Yeah, Jay Foles, I remember your name. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are otherwise than the struggling, that you are having a decent life. You know, if I can ever help you, how to get in touch with me. Christian, who says I'm chill as fuck. That's because Christian has dealt with me one-on-one. He knows that I am. I'm probably going to make you laugh more than cry. And if you cry, that's cool. I have men cry in my sessions, women cry in my sessions, couples cry together in my sessions. Crying isn't a bad thing. Forcing yourself not to cry is. Because that's like watering the garden of trauma. That's how you make the trauma flowers grow. You suppress your feelings. You don't want to do that. Haven't viewed all of 2024. Fan-freaking-tastic. Of course it's worth it in the end. You have to learn to live life on life's terms. And for those of us who depended or still depend on the pornography, that's a scary idea because we usually don't have the coping skills to do that. But once you get through the hard part of early recovery, oh my God, life is so much better. Life is so much better. We had a call about a year or two ago. We talked about wrestling. Probably still love it. I'm actually going to go see NXT. 2 weeks from now. I'm going to go see an NXT TV show taped on the 17th. Pardon me. Assange. I do it without corn, okay? If you're asking if it's okay if you do, I can't stop you. If you're asking me, is it okay to use, to masturbate but not look at porn? No. It's not if you're an addict. And I'll explain why. Your eyes see images, but they don't process them. Your tongue tastes food, but it doesn't process the taste. Your nose smells things, but it doesn't process the smells. Your senses are processed in the brain. So it doesn't really matter if you're seeing it or not, if you're picturing it. And I'm going to guess if you are masturbating without pornography, you are picturing some kind of sexual scenario in your head. That does for you and for your chemical issues exactly what the porn does. And you can say, I don't think about porn. I don't think about, naked people. I don't think about sex. Yeah, that's hard to believe. And I'll give you an example here. Everybody who's still here, I want you to close your eyes. Everybody. Assange, J. Fulls, Christian, everybody close your eyes. Okay, your eyes are closed. I want you to not picture a giraffe. Do not picture a giraffe in your head. Do not picture a giraffe in your head. I don't want you to think about a giraffe. Do not picture a giraffe. Now, do not picture a giraffe with a funny little blue hat. You are not to picture a giraffe with a funny blue hat. You got that? No picturing a giraffe with a funny blue hat. Okay, open your eyes. Now, according to, studies, 90% of you just saw a giraffe wearing a blue hat. Your brain saw it. Even though your eyes didn't see it, your brain saw it. Unless you've got this very rare condition there. You can't picture things, but that's like 1 in a million people, so let's not go there. Your brain experienced the same set of conditions as when you view pornography. Because while you're viewing with your eyes, you're processing with your brain. So if you invent those images in your brain, same thing. So no, it is not. It is not. I'm glad that makes sense. J. Fulls, does no corn reset the brain? Well, it doesn't really reset anything. It helps it evolve to the next place. And I can't really help. I can give you tips and techniques to not use. But the physical part of recovery is going to fall on your shoulders. And that does involve not viewing porn and not touching yourself. If you don't use, you will heal over time. But it's not like it resets it to before. I mean, I was a porn addict at 12. I don't want to reset my brain to being 11 years old. It's my 11-year-old trauma-filled brain that made me use. I want to evolve and transcend to the next level. I want to be healthier than I've ever been. How long does it take? Asked Assange. Everybody's different. If you're younger, if you have been using less time, if you're healthy, it's going to take less time than somebody who is overweight 50 and, has a desk job and never exercises. It does have to do with your individual situation. Fawn says, I would love for my partner to have a session with you. I would love for them to have a session with me. Like I said, it's inexpensive compared to what else is out there, and we can do it quickly. Visit the front page of my profile. Up in the bio, there's a link that says Calendly, and you can schedule that there. If he needs to watch some of my videos first, that's cool. If he wants you to sit in with him, that's cool too. Hell, if you want to talk about betrayal trauma, I can do a session with just you. And you can also learn more about me by going to thatcorncoach.com. It's kind of like watching a video of corn in a way. Absolutely, Toga. Absolutely. I noticed since I've been clean the last 2 weeks, I've not had as much instant gratification. Of course. Because you're not throwing gasoline on the fire that's going on in your head. Instant gratification is great. I mean, it feels awesome. But how you get instant gratification can be very dangerous. A lot of people will ask, well, I like doing it. It feels good. Of course it feels good. You wouldn't do it otherwise. But I think we could all sit here and make a list of 100 things that feel good that aren't good for us. Stephanie says, I will also be scheduling ASAP. I'm glad to hear that, Stephanie. I'm glad to hear that. I hope that I can help. Will no watching or touching help with bedroom performance? It may. It may. If you're not having any issues with bedroom performance, you're not experiencing any porn-induced erectile dysfunction, it probably will largely keep things the same if you're not experiencing problems in the bedroom. Almost the entire time I was an addict, I was still able to function just fine in the bedroom, and I never had any complaints, whether it was girlfriend or wife. I am lucky in that I didn't have any erection issues until the very, very end of my addiction. So will it help? Maybe, maybe not. But no watching, no touching certainly isn't going to make it worse. I always see you after I finish. Well, maybe you need to log on before you start. I don't know. IDK. Fawn says, I just really feel like there's no hope or moving on from this. I'm extremely hurt. Then Fawn, schedule with me yourself first. Schedule with me yourself first. You have to take care of yourself. Whether you are with this guy for the rest of your life or you're with this guy for the next 3 weeks, you're going to have to take care of yourself. Number one. You can help deal with him. You can nudge him towards recovery, but you're never going to be able to force him to get better. He's going to need to want that. But I get the feeling from you that you want to feel better. So I would urge you to make a session with me first. And we can talk about the problem, and we can talk about ways to get him to talk to me. But do yourself a favor and book with me first, so we can talk about the trust, so we can talk about, the trauma, how you're feeling. It's great of you to want to get help. It's great of you to want to fix the relationship, but get help for him. But you need to really make sure that you're in the best place possible. Hi, Stephanie. I have so much angst. The one thing I wanted was to marry a man who didn't watch. Found out 10 years probably later is the next thing you're going to say. I'm so sorry, Stephanie. I'm so sorry. He hid it from you for 10 years. How shitty is that? How shitty is that? I'm sorry, Stephanie. I'm sorry. I hope that he's not still using, but you have the angst. You need to process that angst. We need to talk about how to rectify it. How can you move forward in a healthier place? And obviously we need to, have a one-on-one, get into all those details. Fawn says he sees a therapist now. Good, but I just don't see him the same. We have 2 kids together too. Certainly understand that. Certainly understand that. Captain Mimo, thank you for following me. Glad you're part of the community now. Stephanie says, married 21 years. Me too. Me too. Is there any hope? We are making an appointment ASAP. Good. You might even be able to get an appointment at the end of the day today. I don't know what my schedule looks like. But of course there's hope. There's always hope. There is always hope. I have worked with people who have been together 30 to 40 years successfully because both partners wanted to be successful. Both partners wanted it bad enough. They just needed the help of somebody else. That's why I say nobody really recovers on their own. I've never seen it. Because this is a very specialized thing. Just because you stumble into pornography when you're 13 years old doesn't mean at 33 or 43 or 53 that you have the tools to get out of it because you got into it on your own. I look forward to meeting the both of you, Stephanie. Thank you for the words. I am so looking forward to having a session. I am too. I am too. I really like meeting new people. I really, I feel that quite often the first 3 sessions are where the most magic takes place. And I love having those I love, sessions no matter what. But the first few sessions where it starts to get reframed, where you start to look at it differently, just where you start to get stuff off your chest. So powerful. It's so freaking powerful. I love my job. I feel so bad for the people I work with, but I love my job. I make less than half the money I made 12 years ago as a magazine publisher, but this is my calling. This is truly my calling. I've been doing this for a little over 2 hours. Damn, bro, I wouldn't even wish this on my worst enemy. Absolutely flying. Actually, I would. It's so bad, I would wish it on my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish it on anybody but my worst enemy. I wish Hitler was a porn addict. Anyway, I've been doing this for about 2 hours. I need to take a break before my 4 p.m. I want to thank you all for being here. If any of you do want any one-on-one time with me, visit the front page of my profile. And up at the top in the bio, you'll see a link that says Calendly. Just click on that and then click on first time session and you can schedule there. If you want more information about me, thatcorncoach.com is a great place. Please be following me. Please be following me. When you see my videos, please like them. Repost them if you think they're great. Save them if you think they're great. That all helps get them out to more people. I want to thank you all for being here. I know some of you have been here for a very long time, and I think that's awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. We will talk very soon. Have a great